keeping it away, as I've said. We have to keep it away in a regulated way, and then offer them little bits of pieces, a little bit at a time, for them to be able to manage it on their own in a regulated, safe way. So I start off with not really a box, but this is a drawer. Depending on the age of your kid, don't be afraid to put it away. They don't have to always have their phone, even though they'll tell you they do. They don't. I spent almost 30 years without a phone. I was okay. First box, preschool. I start really young. For some of the slides, I've actually changed that to 0 to 4 because I don't even know why I said 2 there, because they're starting way younger than 2 now. But basically, everything is under your supervision. These are my recommendations. You could use that guided access. It locks it on one app. Pretty much everything is educational. There's some really cool stuff, but in my opinion, really time limited under your supervision. I know we're almost out of time. If you guys need to leave, you can. I'm going to try to wrap up quickly here. We didn't start quite at 6:30. So time limited under your supervision. Okay. Box number 2, early elementary school, 5 to 7-ish. During this time, at least in Maryland, most kids, most schools, public and private, are given email addresses at the school. They're on Chromebooks for large portions of the day. It's not even up to parents. It's a bit of an issue down, at least by me, because parents are starting to push back appropriately. So we're talking about having high restrictions. You could turn off the camera. If they have a cousin in California, it could be really cool to FaceTime and use the camera, but then when they're not using it, it's okay to turn it off during this young age. You're giving them what they need, and then you're turning it off when they're not using it, so they don't have free access. Why don't I want them to have free access? I'm not trying to be a dictator. I want them to come talk to you. Hey, Mom, can I get on and blah, blah, blah? Sure. We're having this talk. What are you going to do? Oh, yeah, sure. Make sure you check the clock before you go on. So I'm going to ask you when you come back what time it was. Get them thinking. Get them to be aware. Okay? At this young age, they are very savvy. We talked about YouTube Kids. Keep Cam, I think, is out of business now, but talking about that Jester, the Jellies. Kid Cam, if it's still out there, was also screened by humans, screened by teachers and pediatricians. It was great, but I don't think they are still out there. Text messaging, email, I put in parentheses because, as I said, often the schools are the ones giving them to. It's not even up to parents. And again, you could turn that on and off. You'll notice as I go through this quickly that all the boxes are up on the shelf, the smaller boxes. That's on purpose because as you're going through it's like a ladder system. As you're going up the ladder, you're getting more access. As they mess up and they learn, humans learn by doing, right? So as they learn, you could bring them down into a smaller box. Because you had a tantrum getting off of Fortnite the other night, we're not going to play tonight. We're in a smaller box. Whether you literally go by these boxes or it's just a theory, I want you to be aware that it's going up and going down. This is a learning process. Humans learn by doing. So box number 3, as I said, all of these social media apps and games, if they're collecting any kind of information, you have to be 13. If you have a web browser, Safari on a phone, you could turn that off. They don't need a web browser when you're 8 years old or 9 years old that they have their own personal access to. They have other access to get on the web. If you want them to have access, turn it on. You're the parent. But they don't have to have it by default. And by default, it's an adult device, so of course, they have a web browser. K9, I think I took out that slide for tonight. But K9, if you look it up, is a kid-friendly web browser. It's all sanitized and works very well. It's free. K9 Web Protection, I think is what it's called. You could turn off Safari and then install K9 if you want your child to have a kid-friendly web browser, like on their iPad. So anyway, so we got selected apps with privacy settings. Again, you have to go through each one probably and turn on the privacy settings. TikTok, what used to be Musical.ly, was the one that got fined. They actually have decent privacy settings, but they're not on by default, and no kid's going to do that. And so they're off and running, and it's full-on social media with strangers from Europe contacting them. Oh, I saw your video. How old are you? Can you send me a picture? I hear about this in my office. It's scary. Middle school, same basic. You get the idea. I'm going up the ladder. giving more and more access as we go. Now they're over 13, so they can get all the social media, Snapchat, Instagram. Restrictions are still in place, but should be revisited. Just like learning to drive a car, you should be getting more and more access as you're getting closer and closer to being the adult, young adult. Going off to college, you want to be able to manage this. And then finally, box number 5, again, notice all the little boxes are up there. Ongoing dialogue about their lives on and offline. Starting to give them more and more access. I would say you still know the passwords. Humans behave differently under supervision. But again, you're prepping them for adulthood. That's what's coming in this age group. And using that screen time, the Apple screen time, for them to have more data, to be more aware. Helps them learn to regulate their use. So here's my little ladder system. Go up, and you could also go down. Like any new culture, there is a new language beyond OMG and LOL. I put little eyeballs next to the ones that I felt particularly interesting. This is right out of Google, by the way. I didn't create this. Most of it has to do with parents are in the room, or drugs, or alcohol, or get naked. I don't think there's anything brand new here. This has been going on. But they use these acronyms because it's a new language. And it's code, and parents, especially older parents, have no clue. So now you have a clue. Okay. Everybody okay? Okay. What we're talking about, again, is proactive versus reactive parenting. This little girl and boy have helmets on. It's proactive. Okay? They're not wearing bike helmets because they're going to fall and hurt their head. They're wearing bike helmets in case they fall. They want to minimize the damage. That's what we're talking about. That's why I want to force the dialogue. That's why I want to have parents parent and set, at least have an awareness of what we're inviting our kids into. And again, it's not a new thing. It's all embedded into our society already. Car seats, I'm assuming in the 1970s, there was some tipping point where there were so many infant deaths from car accidents that there was a level of regulation that came. We haven't hit that point yet with the internet. It might be in the future, hopefully not. Hopefully there's not so many deaths that we have to have strict rules. Like you have to be in a car seat, 5-point harness until you're like 11. I think that's the law. Seems a bit much, but I guess the research says that they're safer. Training wheels, all kind of drug laws. It's proactive. That's what I'm pushing. Just to wrap up, I always like to hear from kids. I know we're a little bit over time at this point, but this is brief. So let's hear from some teenagers.
People over the age of 25 or 30, they're just getting into this stuff, and I think that they have maybe a harder time making sense of it, whereas like kids like me, who the iPhone came out maybe when I was in 4th or 3rd grade or something. So I've pretty much been born into it. And I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like that can sometimes stem from like insecurity. I think there definitely is a connection between self-worth and like how I'm thinking people constantly their reputation, like, oh, if I don't get enough likes on this Instagram photo, then or what kind of like pictures they're posting. It's important to monitor what your kids are doing, but also be mindful that also a lot of the times they're not busy. We're children of the digital age, and sometimes like when our parents act like the know-it-alls when it has to do with the internet, it's a little irritating because most of the time we actually know more than them.
It's true.
Appreciate the new different kinds of communication.
So, thank you so much. In closing, as I said, this is really about seeking out that proactive balance. Humans are reactive by nature. Okay, I'm not going to go through and quiz all of you, but I'm guessing you guys are here in a reactive stance because you're concerned about your kid and you want to make sure that you know how to handle what's coming. And what I'm offering and what I hopefully conveyed to you all tonight is this mission of trying to get ahead of it. It's so predictable what our kids are going to get into that we can be more proactive and find that balance. So thank you so much. If there's questions, I'm here. Appreciate it. And if you got to go, you got to go. I know it's a school night, so thank you so much. It was a long 2 hours, so thank you.